Hi guys, so I want to share with you this article from the 7th of April 2016 by the Rail, Maritime and Transport Union, the RMT. Now, they instructed their members to vote to leave the European Union, and they gave a number of reasons why they should do that. Now, I'm not going to go through all of the details, but I want to read some of the headlines here. It says here, number 1, leave the EU to end attacks on rail workers. Attacks. They use very strong language here. Leave the EU to end attacks on seafarers and offshore workers. Leave the EU to end attacks on workers' rights. Leave the EU to end austerity. Yes, austerity. Leave the EU to stop the attack on our NHS. And leave the EU to support democracy. Support democracy. Okay, but I want to focus on number 2 here because it's relevant to what's happening at the port of Dover and in Hull in regards to the firing of P&O ferry workers and rehiring of others. And it says here, the EU has promoted undercutting and social dumping, leading to the decimation of UK seafarers. The same is now happening in the offshore sector. EU directives also allow the tendering of our public ferry services. Now, the tendering of public ferry services I think is actually something positive. It means that the consumer will get the lowest fare, or hopefully the consumer will get the lowest fare if the tendering process is done correctly and it's all done above board. But I want to focus on this issue here. It says social dumping. What does that mean? Well, maybe in this report from GB News, I'm not a fan of GB News, but I want to show you what they've said in this report. Perhaps this is what the RMT mean by social dumping.
Well, good morning, Patrick and Anaya. I'm actually outside the DP World offices in central London first, which is in about an hour's time. We're expecting a protest to start here. Now, this is the parent company for P&O Ferries. They actually bought P&O Ferries in 2019, and anger has been brewing over the weekend. If you look into this company's finances, they are Dubai-based. They actually had a £683 million profit last year and received £10 million from the furlough scheme from the government. There have been calls over the weekend for the British taxpayer to be reimbursed for that.
But I don't know how that's going to help the workers. Rishi Sunak could ask for the money back. I don't know if that's possible because I don't know if they've broken any rules in regards to furlough. But if they were forced to give the £10 million back, how is that actually going to help the workers? Well, it doesn't.
So the protests are going to start here first before moving over to Westminster at lunchtime, where that debate is taking place this afternoon. What else has happened over the weekend is the RMT union is claiming that the British workers in Dover have been replaced by Indian seafarers on $2.38 an hour. They're describing that as poverty pay, and the Liverpool to Dublin routes are now being crewed with Filipino seafarers on a similar sort of wage. And unionists this weekend have been saying that this is a shocking exploitation of foreign labour and a gut-wrenching betrayal of British workers.
So when the RMT said that was poverty pay, that British workers were being laid off and Indian workers were hired to replace them, and Filipino ones as well. Is that what they meant by social dumping? Is that what they meant by a type of social dumping leading to the decimation of UK seafarers? Because back in 2016, they told their members, if you don't vote to leave the European Union, this is going to happen. Well, they were wrong. They were wrong to tell their members to vote for Brexit. Now, I'm not saying that if Brexit had not happened, this would not have occurred. But we can see in France where there are stronger protections for workers. None of the staff have been laid off. Now, I'm not saying this is because of Brexit, and this is about legislation. But this is part of a bigger issue here. This is part of a bigger problem that is related to Brexit, because Brexit was about decimating industries, about allowing companies to break not break laws, but to get away with treating their workers and the environment and other situations in a terrible way. We saw it with the dumping of raw sewage into the sea and into rivers and lakes. Companies got away with that. So while this is not directly related to Brexit, you're probably going to see more of it because of Brexit. The idea that we're going to allow companies to run roughshod over workers' rights. So when the RMT were telling people back in 2016, you need to vote to leave in order to end the social dumping, well, then they were either mistaken or they were lying. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think about all of this. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.